Okay, ground game back in the NFL. Will Cowboys join the movement? This is Reed Hansen, Cowboys Wire. His premise is that personnel, play calls, they're more geared towards the passing game than ever. The Niners and the Eagles are zigging while the league is zagging. And maybe there's an opportunity to get some win probabilities in there. I think the Cowboys have been zigging since 2014 with Tony Romo and the great offensive line they put together and DeMarco Murray running for like 1,800 yards. They've been doing it, and they haven't really detoured much from it. They just recently stopped being efficient at running the ball in the second half of the seasons. But they're, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, they're still amongst the most runningest teams in the NFL, right?
Yes.
So they're trying.
They are running the ball quite a bit, especially on first and second down, which is an obvious run down. That's part of been their problem. Is it seems like the defenses know when they're going to run the ball. It's very obvious. First and second down, Kellen Moore love to run the ball. And they're not really creative in the way they go about doing it either. It's not like, okay, everybody knows Kyle Shanahan is going to run the ball here. But he does it in a way that is like, oh, the defense doesn't know how to stop it. There's 6 yards.
Yeah. Crap, where's he going? Who's running it now?
There's some nuance to the way he runs the ball. It's not just turn around and hand it off and hope that your guys are better. Like that worked with Jason Garrett when you had the best offensive line in the league. But now you're not drafting first-round linemen year in, year out.
Brian, we got confirmation it's pouring in Capel and Denton right now.
Oh, there you go.
No. Okay.
There you go.
Now, what do you think about the Cowboys' approach to running? Because I don't think it's the volume. I think it's the efficiency that we're more concerned with.
I'm just always interested of how you're able to get into your running game. And to me, if you talk about what they did drafting Schoonmaker, I think that helps you at the point of attack. I'm looking for creativity. Like I say, when people know that you're going to run the ball, the thing that Kyle Shanahan does that's unique is he plays with one of the best blocking fullbacks we've ever seen with Kyle Juszczyk. You know, his ability to play on the move and to have guys like Kittle and Williams, this offensive line and the way that they get after you, that's when running the ball to me, that if you have those types of players, but I think the creativity of it, putting wide receivers in the backfield and letting them be a part of the running game, not just the jet sweeps and stuff like that, but using fullbacks, using tight ends, using guys in motion and able to attack the point of attack and create opportunities.
What do you guys think it was the main reason they were so poor at running the ball last year? Was it because too many carries for Zeke, Kellen Moore bad play calls, or poor offensive line?
I think that they weren't. Me personally, that's why I just said what I said. I think they were really bad at the point of attack.
Yes.
with their personnel. I don't think Schultz. I don't think Ferguson. I don't think Hendershot. They even went to the point of using offensive linemen in the backfield to try and do that. I think if the Cowboys are really going to get good at running the football again, it's going to have to be because of Schoonmaker and Steele and those guys being back in the lineup.
That's a big reason I think they drafted Schoonmaker.
Yeah. And I don't want to be disrespectful to a legend like Zeke, but taking him out has to give you a better chance of a much higher YPA, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, and
100%.
As you were talking about this, I just looked up, which backs had the most rushing attempts last year, and then teams. So Zeke still had the 10th most rushing attempts in the NFL last year, which is egregious. When it comes to which team ran the ball the most, the Cowboys were 5th in the NFL. And what's interesting is out of the top 8, the majority are enhanced because they also have running quarterbacks. Like the Bears are 2nd, the Eagles are 3rd. You've got the Ravens and Giants at 6th and 7th right behind the Cowboys, and all those teams have quarterbacks that are going to run.
Yeah, 9-7-2 Niners are just play action all day. I think that's huge. I think subtlety, I think nuance, I think horizontal spread, and giving the defense as much to think about before and then immediately after the snap is huge. And if you don't trust your players to execute that vision, you need different players.
Yeah.
I need smarter players. I need tougher players. I need more versatile players. But we're not going to go away from play action. It's just too devastating and how it sets up big plays in the passing game. There's undeniable numbers on it. And if your quarterback wants to, give you toot about it or whatever, I'm just going to put that in the, okay, we're not doing another contract with you, a pile. But I do think the move away from Kellen Moore is big because if you don't have the offensive lineman or the fullback or the H-back or the tight end that can whoop somebody at the point of attack, it's not your job to keep running those plays.
No.
It's your job to fool the defense and to think that's what we're doing and we're escaping out the back end or something like that and, going about it a different way. And he didn't problem solve.
Well, it also helps for a team like San Francisco. Not only are they good at point of attack, but they've got a guy that with McCaffrey, the way they run the ball, his vision, ability to make cuts,
but you got a really good one in Tony Pollard.
No, absolutely. To me, if you're going to be successful like the 49ers, the creativity, it's about the personnel too, to me.
I agree.
This is a team, the kid that they brought from North Dakota State for the
Hunter Lepke.
Lepke. Okay. Can Hunter Lepke turn into a potential Kyle Juszczyk type of a player? Can he be a guy that can not only play in front or offset or Juszczyk plays as a tight end. He plays as a wing. He plays as a fullback. See, that gives you a lot of flexibility. Teams are like, well, okay, they're lining up in the eye. Oh, they're going to run the ball. Oh, they're offset. They're going to run the ball. Well, they move him to the wing and they move him places. They don't give you the look like they're going to run the football.
Agree with everything.
And then they do. They put a wide receiver in the backfield and hand him the damn ball.
Right, and it's all the disguise, right? And also, how
it's the deception.
Yes, it's the movement. And that's how we've always talked about this with the Shanahan and McVay offense and those trees, and we talk about the pre-snap motion, right? It's keeping the defender's eyes moving. The deception. You're not sure who's getting the football here, and they do it very, very well. The play design was lacking from Kellen Moore.
When you bring a wide receiver into the backfield, you're bringing a cornerback potentially into the box to have to make plays to tackle. That you do not want your cornerbacks in the box having to make plays. And that's deception.
The 903 San Francisco was much better than Dallas. I can't fight you too hard on that. They definitely played better both days. I think it's not a matter of being better. It's just matching up so incredibly well. Like the Niners are the Cowboys' kryptonite, and that's why they're trying to get tougher along the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and they got a coaching staff that offensively, the Cowboys have a coaching staff defensively that puts their players in the great position to succeed. And Kyle Shanahan,
you match up well with them.
That
seemed
to offset, but where they have the biggest advantage is Cowboys offense versus 49ers defense. They've had no answer.
Right, because the Cowboys haven't had anybody off it. Like, put Kyle Juszczyk in a Cowboy uniform. He ain't the same Kyle Juszczyk. So much credit goes to Juszczyk for being that guy. He's the one executing it. But Kyle Shanahan is putting in a position offensively that I don't think any other play caller, play designer in the sport would do. So that's where, like, I think the biggest, we always think about the players on the field, and there is part of that, but we keep going back to, like, the Cowboys year in, year out have a great roster. They have a really good roster. There's holes in every one, but when you stack them up side by side, the Cowboys are usually one of the better rosters in the league. So what's different about you and the other teams? Well, the teams that are really succeeding at the highest level, like a team like the 49ers, have a coaching staff that are really putting their guys in positions to succeed, and you know that's the real deal because when you finally got a coach that could do it for your defense, look what happened to it. But we haven't had that offensively. I mean, tell me when.
No, agree with the coaching, but I will say those are probably the teams that they've fallen off to are the teams that do have the better rosters. The 49ers roster's better, right? The Eagles roster's better.
I don't know that the Niners roster was that much better. I think if you switch offensive coaching staffs, I think the Cowboys win the game.
Maybe. I don't know that you look across the board and thought I mean, you're talking about the skill players, right? The offensive talent. They lose Tony Pollard, they can't do anything. You got a Debo, you got a Brandon Ayuk, you got George Kittle, you got Juszczyk. I think the 49ers roster was substantially better, Eric.
I understand that, but you still have coaches putting their guys in positions to succeed.
Agreed. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but I do think the personnel matters, and that specific team had a better roster than yours.
The personnel definitely matters. There's no question about that. But there's also, Brandon Ayuk. Like, you talking about Brandon Ayuk like he's just what is Brandon Ayuk?
He would have been the number 2 receiver opposite CeeDee Lamb last year. And you would have loved to have him in that game.
That is true. I would have loved to have had him in that game. And after the Tony Pollard injury, there was certainly a lack of weapons there, but there was also a coach that didn't understand how to he was still running Zeke out there. He couldn't even put Malik Davis out there.
Yes.
You had some coaching malpractice that I think has been more of an issue for you over the last 20 plus years than it has been the personnel. the personnel has been overarching pretty good. And we're so hyper analyzed on this team. So we're like, oh, I wish this was better about the roster. I wish this was better about the roster. But again, stack them up against the 32, and it's a top 5 roster pretty much year in, year out. But it's never a top 5 coaching staff, particularly offensively, since Dan Quinn has been here.
What I remember about Brandon Ayuk in that game, I think he had 2 catches and both of them were for first downs. See, that's the thing about it. San Francisco, they get the absolute max out of every one of their players.
Yeah.
You can't always say that about the Cowboys.
He's not Debo, but he fits their system well.
That's fine. Yeah. And you got the fastest guy on the field in Turpin, and you can't even get him on it.
No,
because you don't know how to use him.
No,
you think Turpin's not playing an offensive snap with Kyle Shanahan? He's going to figure out a way to get him involved.
No, I totally agree with you on it. And I think that's why I think that's one of the reasons why I asked you guys earlier, why did Kellen Moore lose his job?
Hey, I was all for moving on from Kellen Moore, but you are looking at and nitpicking the little things when you get down to the Final Four in your conference. You are looking at how is this roster constructed and the talent constructed as well. I think both are relevant when you're talking specifically Cowboys and 49ers. It's the coaching. Agree with you 100%, but the Cowboys also weren't as talented either.
We'll see what Mike McCarthy can do to optimize this thing, but his track record does not suggest it'll be the kind of creativity. You're hoping that a schematic shift can make things overall more easy to execute and therefore be more efficient.
You hope that the year that Brian Schottenheimer was working with Dan Quinn evaluating other teams' offenses, maybe will rub off on him in a way and some carryover to creativity for your offense.
And a lot of the text is hoping that just taking Zeke out of the rotation for so many carries should have a positive impact as well. But the premise is it's easier to run than ever. And the Cowboys really made a mess out of it last year. NFL.com has named an all-breakout team. They've put Tyler Smith there at left tackle. I could see it. But I don't know. I think he was pretty good already, and I think his hands and his holds from college, that's not elite makeup to me. So I think Tyler Smith has exceeded my expectations already. But if I'm looking for a breakout, I'm going to Sam Williams. And I think Tyler Smith was already pretty good. I do not expect a big jump up, but I do from Sam. How about you guys?
Sam Williams is the number 1 breakout for me as well. I cannot wait to watch him on the defense, and I can't wait to see him get so much more volume than what he got last year.
How much better than can Tyler Smith be, guys?
Oh, I tell you, he's got enough. Please leave him at left tackle. Please leave him at left tackle. But I don't know. I mean, I'm walking into this right now, and I saw an OTA practice the other day. I'm looking forward to seeing when we get out to camp. I just hope they leave him. I don't want him to move to guard. I just want him to play left tackle.
He was so impressive last year moving to both spots. And you're right. I mean, if you just let him kind of focus on one area talent-wise, I think he can be one of the top 5 offensive tackles in the sport.